Hi guys, welcome back to the Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to chat about books to books. So this week was a contemporary horror, suspense, psychological thriller. I know that's not my usual genres I read in, but like I'll get to why I read that when it comes up. Also a historical cozy mystery. So we're gonna go with the cozy mystery first, and that is In the Market for Murder, a Lady Hardcastle Mystery Book 2 by T.E. Kinsey, and it is 269 pages and it's published 2016. This is the historical cozy mystery. So this was like a 3.5. Making all the noises. So it was a 3.5, almost a 4. I enjoyed myself. Has it ever happened to you where you're enjoying yourself, you're reading it, but for some reason you just can't sink into the story? That's what it was like for this book. I mean, could have been, probably was. No, definitely was. It was definitely my fault, but I just couldn't seem to get into it. Now, there is Flo and Hardcastle. I adore them. I love their banter. It's always so much fun. I love their friendship, especially since Flo is like Lady Hardcastle's maid. They're wonderful. The mystery itself, we had all the clues to show who it was until the end. Mostly all the clues, except the actual murder weapon, and that didn't come up until like page 220, which was also around the time I realized, oh yeah, this is about a murder. I forgot about that first murder, so that's not the best. But it's just like, if once you're done with it and you're remembering the mystery and trying to like solve it along Hardcastle, it's pretty difficult when the murder weapon's pretty much essential to figuring out who it was. Now the clues leading up to that, it kind of gets you in the ballpark, but still there's so many red herrings still until that moment, right? So that's like the only thing I didn't completely like, but I liked everything else. And that's the only reason it's not a 4. Not a 5. What's a 5? I don't know. Not a 4. Because of that. Now, a lot happens in this book. There is a murder, of a farmer that apparently everyone hated. So there's a lot of suspects. And then the rugby club trophies were stolen. And there's a seance. Like, there's a random seance in the middle and the ghosts, quote unquote, are saying her new neighbor is a murderer. So I'm like, oh, there's 2 murders and a robbery? Okay, do these all tie together? Not really. The break-in and the first murder do. The seance, no. And the writer really tried hard to be like, oh, well, they were involved in this too. But that felt very like, maybe the editor told them to put that in or something. And I was like, it's okay if the seance just happened coincidentally. That's all right. It felt weirder shoehorning that the killer was involved in that too. A little bit, I was like, so yeah, there's a lot happens. A lot. And I love how the mystery of the rugby trophies being stolen took precedent over the murder of the guy that no one liked. At least in the village's eyes, which is like, woo, no one liked you, buddy. That's for sure. I do love how in this book, Lady Hardcastle decides to buy a car, and man, the way she just politely eviscerates the dealer, phenomenal. I do love Flo. I do love Hardcastle. I like the confrontation was on the page. I like that Flo got her, Kung Fu master moment and completely took down a person that's like twice her size. There was one point in the book I'm like, man, Flo can do like everything really well. And then this is totally like a comic book bias. Then I'm like, oh, well, she was raised in the circus. Like Nightwing. It makes sense now. boy. Anyway, so and like Flo's not perfect, so it stops her from being a Mary Sue, which is great because, and again, this is all of Flo's POV. It's very much like female version of Sherlock Holmes and Watson. I love Lady Hardcastle. In the first book, she was recovering from a very bad injury that happened at the end of the first book, but she's okay. She's feisty as ever. And I love the conversation about the walking stick. So in the beginning, they're having this whole banter back and forth of why Lady Hardcastle's using a walking aid, like a walking stick for, and she's like, well, I don't need it. Cause like Flo's worried that she's like not being honest and maybe she's still pretty sick, you know, like maybe like a relapse, you know? And Hardcastle's like, no, I just felt like I needed to use it as like a visual clue that I did go through something, because everyone was so kind that it feels like if I don't use it for a little while longer, people are gonna think like I exaggerated or lied or something. And it's and it's someone that has like an invisible illness. I get it. I get it. That spoke to me so hard. I was like, yeah, I get that. It's just like a visible clue for people like not to harass you, telling you faked it or whatever. Yeah, I got that a lot. I understood that. That hit deep for me, you know. I do think there was a couple of lulls in the book, which is interesting because the pacing of the first book I really liked. This one was just like, I feel maybe like 10 or 20 pages less. I think it would have not felt as dragged on. And sure, those moments that were dragging on, we had a lot of fun, Hardcastle Flo, banter back and forth moments. I love that. But also like, you know, you have like 3 things going on and I forgot about the first murder until page 220. You gotta cut something. Like it was like, you might want to like sharpen it up a little bit. But again, I did have fun. I did. I like how the constables had no problem going to Hardcastle for help. I like that when she's like, oh, you caught the wrong guy, and they're like, well, shoot. They weren't mean to her. They didn't disparage her. They weren't like condescending. They were like, oh, darn it. Did we? Well, we can't let him go because you just have speculation. But if you brought us evidence, well, you know what I mean? Which I liked. It's nice to read a cozy where like it doesn't feel like the cops are supposed to be in the literary world supposed to be the good guys also fighting against them, right? So that was cute. The inspector from the last book that was kind of mean in the beginning but then really liked them, he's back, but he's like, hey, I got this like bank robbery stuff going on over here. Could you take over this and then I'll be back? And I'm like, does he have his own book he's in? Like, what's happening? But that was nice too. We have a friendship. I like it. I will always like Hardcastle and Flo's friendship. I'm going to continue this series. And like, there's so many books in this series. And like, you guys know, I always say that, you know, you could love an author, but not love every one of their books, right? And I don't think this one was horrible. It's just, it didn't hit for me. So it's like a 3.5. All right, so the next book is the psychological suspense horror contemporary book. I know, not my usual cup of tea. It was published 2025 and 324 pages. It is called The Dark Sister by Kristi DeMesster. And this was like 4.5 stars. The only reason it's not 5 stars because I'm not gonna read it again. And I'm not even like a big horror fan, so take that, you know, so maybe if you're a horror fan, you'll like it even more, you know? And you might be wondering, well, why did you pick this up? Because the synopsis got me. The synopsis got me, man. Listen to this. Okay. Horror meets historical fiction when a curse bridges generation, binding the fates of 3 women. Anne Bolton, a healer facing persecution for witchcraft, bargains with a dark entity for protection, but the fire she unleashes will reverberate for centuries. Mary Shepherd, a picture-perfect wife in a suffocating community, falls for Sharon and begins a forbidden love affair that could destroy them both. And Camilla Burson, The rebellious daughter of the preacher defies conformism and expectations to uncover an ancient power as her father's flock spirals into crisis. 3 women, 3 centuries, 1 legacy of fury, love, and power that refuses to die. Tell me you wouldn't have been like, in the cart, yes, please. I need to know. It got me. And you know what? For once, the synopsis, the paragraph was truthful. It was phenomenal. It was great. It was a great story. So, and the prose, beautiful. Let me just show you like a little example. And this is all, the whole book is written like this. It's beautiful. I died once before. At 13, the river water rushed into my lungs, hungry, insistent. My older brother had been there to pump it from me and command my heart back to life. Like, I'm sorry, what? Artwork who? Peas art, yes, thank you. What? Like the whole book, the prose are just phenomenal. It's a beautifully written book, and the story, really good. Really good. So I don't want to get too into it because it's a new release. There's so much to the story, and like I want you guys to read it. It's phenomenal. So I'm just gonna do as spoilerly as I can, but you know, I got a big mouth, so hopefully I don't ruin it. So this story spans from like 1750, 1953, and 2007, right? So Anne is in the 1750, and she's a healer, and her and her adult daughter, basically the local reverend starts talking about witchcraft, and they already persecuted an innocent woman, like they hung her already. So Anne's like, we gotta go. And her POV, and this book is a phenomenal example of showing, of showing, not telling. It is beautiful. You feel the emotions with these girls, right? So with Anne, I felt like just the hangman's noose, like a clock counting down, right, to hangman's noose. I felt like so anxious and like, oh man, they're not gonna make it. Oh no. And then when they do, the feelings changed from like, oh, they're not gonna make it, anxiety, you know, to, oh no. Just like general, like, oh no, worry and damn. But you felt it with Anne the whole time, right? So the 3 main things in this book is a tree that looks like it has decapitated heads screaming on the bark, which, you know, just general life rules. If you see a tree like that, back away. Maybe leave a cupcake, but get the hell out of there. Don't drink the sap, Anne. Like when she started drinking the sap, I was like, what are you, don't do that. But she did. So I was like, oh damn. So the tree and Anne drinking from the sap caused issues. And then there is an illness that through all of the generations hits only women. Their gums turn gray, they cough up blood, teeth, hair. Some die, some don't, and they don't know why. And this is a very affluent neighborhood. There was a point of me in the 2007 point of view when they're talking about the illness, and I was like, and the CDC is where? Because CDC was still full strength at that point. You know, and I guess it's led to believe that like the reverend who has control over the community, he doesn't let that happen. But I'm like, usually the government just shows up. Like there's doctors that have documented of this illness. Some die, some don't. But like there's no cause. There would be the CDC. And then I told myself to shut up and just enjoy the story. So, but sometimes my brain does that. I just want to show you how annoying my brain can be. Anyway, an illness, and some women die from it and some don't. The men never get this illness. And the purity ball. There's a purity ball that the girls as young as 12 to 18 participate in. They only do it once. And this is a huge mystery too, because Camilla, who's in the 2007, does not want her daughter to participate. She is violently against it, and it's the only time you see the mother like go against the church in this. And the church is called The Path. it is so interesting. Anyway, so you feel, well, with me, the author got me to feel anxiety for Anne and her daughter's survival, and then anxiety because you drank the sap and things starts happening, and I'm like, yeah, what? And then with Mary, who's in the 1953 section of the book, you felt hollowed out with her. Like I felt so sorry for her having to pretend she's something she's not, completely suppressing that she is a lesbian, and like you see how unhealthily she focused on her daughter, and for most of her POV, because it's the three women's POV, and most of her POV, she doesn't name the daughter, right? She's just my daughter, my light, my daughter. And I'm like, okay, a little, like you could almost see the unhealthiness. And these three women are not angels. They are all complicated. And that's the point. The point is no one is perfect, right? That's the point of the story. But you felt that with her. And like the connection between the three women, like I guessed it right away. It's not a big reveal, but I guess the author kind of wanted it too. So I'll leave it at that. I was like, well, yeah, duh. And then I kept going, but it's fine. And you felt so sad for her when she had to choose between Sharon and her daughter. Because basically, she's not going to leave her husband because of the daughter. It's 1953. You know what I mean? And I did feel like Shannon felt a little out of place for that time period. Maybe if this was closer to the 60s, I kind of would have gotten her, like understood her a little bit better. But like she was upset that Mary was like, no, because my husband will keep my daughter from me and I can't choose you over my daughter. And I was like, well, yeah, that sucks. I'm heartbroken for you, but that makes sense. But Shannon was a little bitter about that, which I thought was strange. So I think the only in this was like the CDC, but that's just my brain telling me to shut up. So, and that Sharon just felt a little bit more liberated than I think women were at that time, which is fine. I liked her on her own, but that, like her being upset that Mary's gonna choose her daughter felt a little like, well, yeah. So, but that was it. Again, 4.5 stars. Phenomenal. And then Camilla, you felt trapped. You felt the gilded cage, trapped of having to be the good girl all the time. Don't have your own opinion. Just smile and like well, not so much Anne, maybe because she was elderly, but Mary and Camilla, the author really showed you just like the everyday sexual harassment women kind of go through. Like in Mary's point of view, her boss was a sexual harassing piece of garbage, and then Camilla, you know, the pastor's assistant, or I forget what he was called, like he's in training to be the next pastor, I guess, would always just look Camilla up and down and comment on her weight and things that's like none of your business, bro. But like, yeah, it happens all the time. So I was like, oh, you know, yeah, ooh, got it. But you felt the struggles with these women. You felt what they were feeling, and and you just like, you're hoping they get out of it okay, right? There's creepy, the Dark Sisters is this folktale about two ghoulish women that are attached by the hair that are by the trees, and if you see them, you're probably gonna die, like all this stuff. It's very creepy, very atmospheric. I love the ending. My bloodthirsty heart was so happy with the ending. I loved it. And Camilla, like she kind of, as you read these three women's stories, you kind of figured Camilla is the last of it. But almost because in the beginning you kind of see her as a spoiled little princess, you don't think she has the strength to do it, but little bit by little bit you see how controlled she is and how much she hates it, and then there's a lot more to her, a lot more than these petty little rebellions. There's so much to her. And the mother is such a complicated, like Camilla's mother is such a complicated, she wants to protect her daughter, but she refuses to actually face what's happening. And unfortunately we see that a lot. So that was so beautifully done. The ending, so wonderful. I loved it. I would love to see someone who's maybe raised in like a fundamentalist household that has deconstructed. I believe Reads with Rachel has spoken about that. I would love to see her take on this book, because there is so much deconstructed, like there's so much about, like I would just love to see her opinion about this book, especially the whole religious aspect of it, and the purity culture, and the subjugating of women, like just as normal. I would just love to see her opinion on this, right? Anyway, I had a pretty good week. I stepped out of my comfort zone and read a book that like jump scared me a couple times, but I had fun. Okay, I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.